ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule in court in Bloemfontein Friday, along with his corruption co-accused. The matter will now move to the High Court for pre-trial hearings in August. Of course, there were thousands of supporters of the SG outside court on Friday. Let's discuss this now with Professor Sethulego Matebesi, political analyst from the University of the Free State. Professor, very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us. Before we start chatting, I just want to play a few clips of what people had to say in the crowd on Friday morning.
Ace is us! We are Ace! Zuma is us! We are Zuma!
But now we are here to defend Ace, and Ace will defend him from the start until the end. We'll defend Ace all the way. We'll go with Ace all the way, because you know what is the problem? Because now the agenda, we know it. 250 something million. Did you see it?
We are here to defend Ace because we know that this case is politically motivated. We always see when organized states are used to fight the internal battles of the ANC.
Yeah, you media people, you are controlled this talent by the white monopoly capital to come and fight and make fights inside the ANC. Because in the ANC we are not fighting. It's only whites who are controlling our president who make us today to fight like this.
So, Professor, listening to those clips from within the crowd outside court on Friday, it is tempting to think not only that the ANC stands full square behind the SG, but also that his home province of Bloemfontein, or of the Free State rather, does as well. But it's not quite that simple, is it?
Yeah, well, very interesting pronouncements coming from the crowd that presumably support the Secretary General of the African National Congress. But I would also like to have heard a different perspective to say, but what are the consequences of corruption? What could a 250 million, and remember this is the only amount that is now in the public domain. What about the other amounts which is not part of the court case? What could that have done to arrest the vicious cycle of poverty in South Africa? But unfortunately for me, this is the narrative that has been sold to some of the supporters of the Secretary General and those that actually enjoys when the ANC is facing the current chaotic situation and dysfunctional structures that it currently actually is having.
And it was quite interesting because speaking to some of the Free State ANC members who were there, they were making the point that they do not support Ace Magashule specifically. Obviously, a person is innocent until proven guilty. But the fervent support and the buying into that narrative that the charges are politically motivated and that the media is simply in the hands of white monopoly capital, not everyone believes that. But nevertheless, what we saw outside court was quite a significant showing for the radical economic transformation forces, as they're calling themselves. Do you think that it was a significant consolidation of that position within the ANC? Is it starting to show two very clearly different camps within the party, or not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've mentioned, and we all know by now that the case has been elevated to the High Court, and with each court appearance, I strongly believe that Ace Magashule, just like the former president of the African National Congress, Jacob Zuma, will be consolidating his support. But one thing that we should also understand is that it is almost as if the so-called Zuma faction, and I strongly believe within the African National Congress, the Secretary General is the face of the Zuma faction, and they are waging a fight back campaign, and the fight back is has actually changed the political landscape, not only within the African National Congress, but in the rest of the country, because today you've got ordinary people questioning judges and even using race, which for me has nothing to do with that. And the whole narrative of political influence. I strongly believe that the so-called Ace Magashule camp of this RET actually had lost an opportunity, because what they should have said is that we've got credible courts and they believe and they've got confidence in a constitutional democracy. So they are going to demonstrate in a court of law the innocence of the one that they support in general. But this is not what they're doing, and their narrative is that it is a political witch hunt. Those issues will not stand in a court of law.
Very quickly, by refusing to step down as SG, as Ace Magashule continues to refuse to do, does that give him ongoing power in the party to keep rallying support for himself?
Yeah, most definitely. If you keep on disregarding the rules and regulations and decisions of the African National Congress, we've seen with Jacob Zuma, then it simply means that he is a powerful individual. He is one of the so-called untouchables, which wield so much power that the ANC cannot even take decisive action or decisions about their own Secretary General.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Much appreciated. Professor Sethulego Matebesi, political analyst from the University of the Free State.